Hey guys, welcome to Spreadsheet Activity number 21. So you're going to notice that I'm going to be skipping a few here and there. The last one we did was 19. We skipped 20. We're doing 21. And then actually after 21, we're doing 24. Don't ask me why. It's because there's some really weird stuff in some of the spreadsheets that I don't think are necessary for us to go over. So that's why the numbers are kind of goofy. But anyway, it doesn't really make much of a difference. All right, so we are going to be doing spreadsheet activity number 21, and we're going to go ahead and open up that on our computer. So I already have everything created here for you guys. The instructions. So this one's a little bit different. This one is talking about expenses. When you create spreadsheets are really good for keeping track of money. Obviously, that's what we've been using them for. So this one that we're going to be doing, we're going to be formatting a spreadsheet, inputting formulas, adjusting numbers and data, formatting landscape, grid line, or actually these things we aren't really going to do, but anyway, using the functions that we've been doing, and it's just a little bit more practice for that. So here's the scenario. So Yoda, you guys all know who Yoda is. Yoda is opening up a school for Jedi Knights, and he must purchase the necessary equipment for the knights. He must pay for rent on a location. He must feed and house the knights while they are in training. These are called his expenses. In return, the Jedi wannabes will have to pay Master Yoda money. That's their tuition, just like going to college. And your job is to create a spreadsheet that's going to help him know how many students he can take and how much he has to charge them, and he has to try to make some extra money, some profit. So here's how your spreadsheet's going to look. Everything that's on the spreadsheet, make sure that you put it in all the right cells that you see up here. So A1 is Master Yoda School for Young Jedi Knights. A3, so you're skipping a line here. A3 is expenses. A4 lightsabers, A5 spacecraft, A6 meals, rent, books. Then we have expenses per student. Now I'm giving you the cost of everything, so these are the numbers that you need to use. So lightsaber is $50, spacecraft is $1,000, meals are $500, rent is $200, books are $100. Down here are the expenses for the student. This is for you to figure out. So if a student had to buy all of these things here, how much money is it going to cost? What formula would you use? Okay, I'm not telling you. You need to figure that out. All right. You need to format cells B4 through B9, that's these ones right here, for currency, which is where the dollar sign pops up. In cell B9, you need to input the formula to determine the total expenses for each student. That's a review, so I'm not going to tell you what goes in there. In cell B15, which is way down here, I give you the formula. Okay, so here's the formula. You're going to take whatever's in B11, which is your tuition income, okay? And that comes from what kids are paying. That's how much tuition costs. And you're going to subtract B9 times B12. So B9 is the expenses, and you multiply that by the number of students. So here's what you have to figure out. You have to figure out how many students he can take and how much each student is going to have to pay. And you have to do that, and there are certain things that you have to follow. So here's where it becomes interesting. So it says Master Yoda isn't sure how many students to accept or how much to charge each student for class. You will need to play around with different amounts in cells B12 and B13 to end up with a profit for Yoda of $20,000. So he has to make $20,000 extra on top of everything else. You got to keep making adjustments to the tuition costs and or the number of students until you get a profit that's close to $20,000. Okay, here's a warning. The Jedi Knights can only carry $100 bills, so you can't have anything lower than a $100 bill. And they cannot pay tuition in anything other than multiples of 100. So for example, you can't say like 1,550. It would have to either be 1,500 or 1,600. It can't be in between. And the tuition cannot be over $3,000, and Yoda cannot have any more than 35 students. So those are the rules that you have to follow. Okay, so let me show you what the spreadsheet will look like once once you have it set up. So I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to move my spreadsheet in here. So I have the spreadsheet set up just like it was up on the page. And I have the prices already put in here. I have the tuition income, which is B13. So it's going to be 12 times 13. So the number of students times how much they each pay in tuition is going to be this number. And then the profit, the formula is B11 minus B9 times B12. That is taken directly from step number 7. Okay. All right, so format cells B4 through B9. So here's B4 to B9. I've already formatted them as currency. That's why the dollar signs are there. In B9, you have to come up with a formula to add these all up. Gee, what could that formula be? Remember how easy this is, guys? You could type in the sum formula. You could go over here, sum, and you could go ahead and add everything together like that. That's the expenses per student, okay? So that's what each student has to pay in order to, and that doesn't include how much the tuition costs are. All right, then you have to start playing around with the numbers. Now, if you have all your formulas in here, you're going to notice these numbers here are going to change. And remember, you have to get this one as close to $20,000 as you can. You cannot have any more than 35 students, and they cannot be charged any more than $3,000. Now, you could just, I don't want to see people just put in the highest numbers in here, because if you go way over $20,000, then that's wrong. It needs to be as close to $20,000 as you can. So let's just do an example. Let's say Yoda wants 15 students, and he's going to charge, see, you can see right away, 15 students, the expenses that Yoda had to pay for each student, he has to pay $27,750 in order to have 15 students. So now he has to figure out what tuition that he's going to get back to zero and then add $20,000 for profit. So tuition per student, let's say he's going to charge $2,000 per student. Well, okay, so he's made up his negative money, but he's only got $2,250 for his profit. So you're going to have to manipulate these two numbers here. You can move this number up. 15 can go up. As remember, it can go up as high as 35. Tuition, you can go up or down. And you just keep maneuvering, and it might take you 5 or 6 different tries. So you can change the tuition cost. Maybe you want to charge, I don't know, $2,500 for tuition. And there we go. So now he's got a profit of almost half of what he needs. So start manipulating these numbers around so that you get your profit up as close to $20,000 as you can. Okay, so it's another example, guys, of having all the formulas put in first before you start manipulating the numbers, and the spreadsheet does all the magic for you. You don't have to do any calculations other than put in the formulas. All right, so it's so much easier than if you were like in a math class and you had written this stuff all down on paper. Imagine that. You'd have to do a lot of erasing and redoing. Well, the spreadsheet does all that thinking for you. Okay, so that's the instructions. I'm going to erase these here, erase this here, erase this here, and back to square one, and that's what yours should look like when you first started. All right, good luck. If you're having any problems with this, remember we have a Zoom on Tuesday that will kind of help us go over this together. All right, good luck.